What year did you join the Compton PD, Doc?
I started in '85, but I started off in the jail.
80s was a tough time in Compton to be an officer. You and your father have dealt with some real gangsters in Compton back in the day. Who were some of the realest guys that you guys came into contact with on a consistent basis?
They all had their way of being a thug and a gangster, to be honest. I'll talk about the ones that people on YouTube know.
Okay.
I didn't really know gangster. Freddie Stays and Turtle were the two that my dad was always saying was treacherous. Was he gave the utmost respect to. And so everybody done heard of Turtle, and of course the twins and all of that. And that's the guys of Santana Block. A guy named G Ray. G Ray was a killer. That was one in my era. He was from Acacia Block, but his brother got killed by the CB7Os, and boy, he used to let those 7Os have it. On the Pyru, the blood side, of course, I go into the little more era of James, Mob James, on the Pyru, or Victor Welch, which is Rick James. Huncho came around, but they were all doing major and big drug time things then. As a street cop, you didn't really deal with guys that was on that level because they were like working at the car wash or hanging at the car wash and all of that, and you had to be able to get to them by doing it right or getting search warrants and stuff like that. And so that was mainly the guys that Alonzo know that was on that side on the team. So they had a little bit more juice, and they weren't just the regular street cops like the Baileys and the Gil Cross. Of course, my father, Reggie Sr., the Percy Peridans, the Uri Taylors and stuff like that. But, to be honest, I do other people, injustice, like a Keefe D and people like that, because I mainly only speak of the people that was in my era, which was really like early 90s, late 80s, where the guys pretty much was in the penitentiary by that time, because that rock cocaine era, it took a lot of brothers out. Y'all just don't know. Those dudes in the 80s, I can't think of one that made it unscathed. They out now. The good thing about it, all of them out, from the Tweets to the JJ, all of those dudes like that, JJ Ransom and Tweet, which was his brother and all of them, Pat, all of them, they were the ones that had all the money back in the late 80s or the 90s or the mid 80s. But they all home now, which is a good thing. But it took a lot of their time out.
It must have been rough being a cop in Compton back in those days when gangbanging was at its fullest, its peak. I mean, you think things are bad right now? No, man, nothing like the 80s and 90s. It was crazy. The streets were on fire. And even for a civilian like myself, Los Angeles was a very rough place to grow up. Even to this day, it shapes you. You know what I mean? People who grew up in the 90s and, had to watch your back, and not like being paranoid on some shit, but just being street smart and just, hey, that person right there doesn't look right. Why is that person reaching for something in his waist? You start to notice things when you've grown up in certain neighborhoods. And there is also a level of PTSD that is attached to that, because unfortunately, a lot of us have been caught up in shootouts. Even though we had nothing to do with it, we were just walking down the goddamn street, or we were leaving a party, and bang, 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 and now we're running for our literal lives. So, man, I couldn't imagine growing up, and not growing up, but I couldn't imagine being a police officer in the city of Compton. Back in the day, you probably had to be a gangster yourself. You probably had to be a gangster your goddamn self. Being a cop in Compton, dealing with the type of people that they were dealing with, man. Straight G's. And Santana Block was one of the biggest menaces on the street back in the day in Compton for the police. And there's great documentaries on Santana Block. Shout out to my boy Crip Sag. Hope he's doing well out there. I know he has a YouTube channel. Type in Crip Sag, I'm sure you'll find him. And also on YouTube, they have certain videos of Santana Block, and they did a documentary back in like 1984, and they were heavily they were heavily featured in this documentary. And one person that caught the world's attention at that time, and to this day even, he has since gone, but is a man by the name of Turtle. Turtle from Santana Block, man. Skating rink partner. I for whatever reason, I remember that tape traveling around in the neighborhoods back in the day, and I was like, who is this charismatic Crip dude? And then YouTube came, and then I was like, oh shit, I remember that video. Then you put everything together, and you know, it was a very, very interesting time, and it must have been a very interesting time for Reggie Wright to be a police officer. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the interview so far, the Reggie Wright interview? And this is just a clip. If you want to watch the full interview, go to the description, click on the link right there. You'll see it, first link that pops up, and click on the link and subscribe to NWA Stories with Lonzo. Right here on YouTube, NWA Stories with Lonzo. You get the full interview with Reggie Wright Jr. And make sure you hit that subscribe button over there, especially if you like real hip hop, especially if you like great interviews like this, especially if you like real West Coast hip hop history. That's the best place to be. And please hit the like button right here on my channel. Don't go anywhere without smashing that like button. Please hit that like button so hard. And if this is your first time joining the channel, you like what you hear yourself, hit that subscribe button. And if you appreciated this clip I played for you, you just might enjoy this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now. That documentary is a very popular documentary, and talking about I think it came out in '84, was it?
Yes, it's called Gang
City.
Gang City.
Is it true that documentary, it was really to uncover the gang violence that was going on because the Olympics were in town?
That part is true. What they did around the world, the media had put the world on notice about the Summer Olympics being awarded in 1984 to the city of Los Angeles. So in the minds of the world, they thinking, well, they got a huge gang problem in that city. You know, how will we be protected? Will it be safe? Are we secure? You know what I mean? Because you're thinking we're seeing it one way, but around the world, we don't know what the media is telling these guys. So what happened, the BBC put together a film crew, a documentary crew, and they came over, and when they did, they hooked up with a detective from OSS. His name was Graves. So they asked Graves the question, out of all the Crip gangs and everything, who he saw is the most dangerous and who would be seen as problematic. So he quickly, I don't know why he said it, but he said the Santana Block Crips. So when he tell this guy, the guy say, hey, well, that's who I need to talk to, you know? So he brought him over. So the guy, when they rose up, man, we all out on Spring Street.
How did that happen? I got to hear this story, yeah.
So me, Turtle, and the rest of us, some of the homies I just named, a bunch of us, Kizzy, Mondo, Bad Habit Rabbit, Twin, Gertchie, Primo Pete, just to name a few, right? Even Tanner Mike, a bunch of guys out there, right? Just, you know, because on a day-to-day, that's what you saw, man. Anywhere from 20 to 50 guys hanging out, you know what I mean? Because we had two houses, one front house, a back house, and another house across the street at that time. Or the house across the street came later. So, but anyway, we were congregating out there, you know what I mean? So the guy pulls up, man. The guy name was, if I remember correctly, was James. And he put up and he jumped out. He said, hello, mate. My name is James, English guy, right? And we looking at him. He say, I'm looking for Toto. Toto. Wow. You know, and me and Turtle sitting there looking at each other like, man, what's going on with this dude? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? And we see the OSS, so we think it's all a trick. So the OSS dude asked the man, was he all right? Was he okay? He had all his camera crew and film people there. And he told the guy to go ahead. I got these chats. I'll talk to him. It'll be okay. So the sheriffs left.
Damn.
You know, they left. And we sat there chalking it up. So the guy was trying to, you know, it took him a while to convince us to do the documentary, right? It wasn't like we just jumped up and said, okay.
Yeah.
You know, after some back and forth and some money negotiated and stuff like that. So it was worked out. And we wound up doing it. He hopped in the lowrider with me and Turtle. For those who don't know it, that's me in the car with Turtle. as he doing the interview, he mentioned my name in there, and then we at the skating ring when the girl asked him, "That turtle in there?" He's, "Yeah, baby, it's me. Drop it like it's hot." And when he tell the other guys, skating ring partner, that's me and him all right there.
That's a meme in itself, I think. That's literally a skate ring partner.
Yeah, skating ring partner. You know, so that's me and Turtle right there together, man. And so the guy, we took him to the skating ring. We took him to Florence in Maine, where we got pulled over by the highway patrol. They was running our numbers because we had lowride back then. You know, lowriders were known for having parts that didn't necessarily belong to the car. You know what I mean? So, you know, so they was running numbers and stuff. Everything came back legit. They wrote a couple of tickets. Turtle took the ticket right there in front of the cameras. If you go back and look at it, he tore the ticket up right in front of the police and the camera in the world right there and threw the ticket away.
Damn.